Thank you guys so much for coming. We're happy to have everybody here. I mean, it seems like we're a whole world away from 2020, so we're just so honored to have everyone here and so happy that we can get together again, and hopefully this lasts for a while. We're kicking off the year with Grand Seiko, which I know you guys would not have it any other way, so we made sure to do it right.
I'll give you a little introduction to the new watches, and most of them, thankfully, will start to be landing here in the States soon over the next few months. With that said, I am also very excited to have you all here for pretty much our first GS9 Club outside event, right? This is our first event celebrating GS9 Club, and if you're not familiar with what GS9 Club is, basically it's a collector's club for Grand Seiko collectors that was established originally in Japan in 2015. And so they started this club in Japan, and I very clearly remember my first visit to Japan in 2016, and we were taken to a GS9 Club event. We had no idea what we were going to, but hey, it sounded fun, right? It was this amazing venue that had all these historical models and this big, celebration of Grand Seiko, showcasing, the watchmaking prowess that Grand Seiko is known for. So now what we're starting to do that's a little bit different than they have not really done in Japan is we're starting to take this GS9 Club on tour, so we can have regional events that will celebrate Grand Seiko and bring unique opportunities to different venues. So
we're starting here, so it's kind of like Broadway.
It is. It's basically Broadway. So basically, GS9 Club is a way for us to give back to our customers. We greatly appreciate all the support and word of mouth. That everyone has given Grand Seiko over the years to build it to the brand it's become today. With that, I'll start jumping into some of the newness that we introduced at Watches and Wonders. So now Grand Seiko solely is the sole Japanese brand in Geneva at this Watches and Wonders show. We made a very big splash there this year. So one of the things we did is we introduced an entirely new collection that we had already started kind of slowly and silently establishing, known as Evolution 9. We call it Evolution 9 because it's an evolution of the Grand Seiko grammar of design that we've had basically in our lineup since 1967. So many of you, I'm sure, know the acclaimed and signature design known as the 44GS. That was created in 1967, and at that time, it also established what we call Grand Seiko style. right, or our grammar of design. Flat surfaces, sharp angles, and a beautiful mirror polishing. You might know the name Zaratsu. This is how we created Grand Seiko style. So Evolution 9 basically looked at that, right? We looked at all the founding premises of Grand Seiko style, which has set the standard for every Grand Seiko design moving forward, and we wanted to push the boundaries. We wanted to make it better. We wanted to evolve, hence the name. Basically, when we look at the 44GS or the original Grand Seiko style, we retained a couple of things, like the flat dial and the curved sideline of the design, but everything else we've improved. Some of the other things that we did, though, are totally new for Grand Seiko. Like, we increased the width of the bracelet, so it's always at least half the case width. And the reason we did this is to give it a more stable feel. But we didn't just do that. We also made the bracelets a little bit thicker. And we also changed the case design a bit to lower the center of gravity. So those three elements are totally new design elements for Grand Seiko that not only give us a new design, a new look, but also give the watch a totally new feel on your wrist. So in this new lineup, we have a limited edition, of course, to celebrate the 15th anniversary since the first Grand Seiko chronograph, which was introduced in 2007. So celebrating those 15 years, in the Evolution 9 collection, we are introducing what we call Cosmo Blue. So this is a new dial color that will also be matched in the sapphire crystal bezel. The other interesting thing, too, is this bezel is bidirectional, which we've never done on a chronograph before. All of our chronographs have GMTs, but there's never been a functional bezel or a bidirectional bezel for the third time zone. So now, not only do you have a chronograph, a power reserve indicator, and a GMT, but you also have a functional bezel for a third time zone. This particular model is going to feature what we call our 9R96 spring drive chronograph. So the 9R96 is an enhanced version of the spring drive chronograph GMT. Basically, when you see this little gold medallion, that means that it's specially adjusted for even higher accuracy than regular spring drive. Regular spring drive is accurate within less than 1 second per day, right? It's already the best self-winding or even manual winding in terms of accuracy. But this is enhanced to less than half a second per day. So this will start to hit stores in June, so not too far away. Will be limited to 700 pieces and will be $12,400. I should also mention that this is going to be a high-intensity titanium case and bracelet, as will be all of the new Evolution 9 sport models that you're going to see. So we'll also have a continuous production model. Just in case you were worried that it was going to be 700 and they're gone. Yes, for the blue, but we will be making a black dial with a sky blue GMT hand. So this new design is going to feature a more prominent crown guard. And one of the things I love about this design is all these flat surfaces and intersecting planes come together at the crown guard and at the tips of the lugs. These are very, very complex cases to make. Even more so than our 44GS, which is our signature design. That's always been one of our most complex case designs, especially when you're hand polishing them. So, as I mentioned, these will have a sapphire crystal insert for the bidirectional bezel. The nice thing, too, is there's lume underneath, our proprietary LumiBrite material, so all the numerals will glow in the dark. Also on the hands and the markers, which is not a common feature for Grand Seiko. We don't use a lot of lume unless it's a sports watch. So the regular production model will be $11,400. It will come out later this year in September, but keep in mind at least it's coming if you miss out on the limited model. So probably the most talked about at Watches and Wonders in Geneva was the introduction of the new Evolution 9 GMTs. These models are going to be 41 millimeters, where the chronographs you just saw were 45 and change. But these at 41 millimeters have the crown protector, have hairline finished bezel. We've actually even redesigned the font for the bezel just to improve the legibility. We're going to make a black dial. This case is going to be just a hair under 14, but keep in mind that it has about a 2 millimeter tall box-shaped sapphire crystal. So that accounts for a lot of real estate, right? This is what I was talking about with the chronograph, where you have all these flat surfaces, right? All these sharp edges, and all of those come together at the crown protector. This is a very well thought out design and very complex to manufacture and especially to Zaratsu polish. So the crown design is entirely new for this Evolution 9 collection and for these sports models in particular, make them easier to handle. So in every facet you see means a bigger pain for our Zaratsu polishers, right? The more work it is for the Zaratsu polishers, so always keep that in mind. Along with the black dial, we're going to be introducing a new take on the snowflake dial. It looks kind of the same in these pictures, but it's actually a different color. So we have the white snowflake, which is the original. We have a blue snowflake, and now we're going to have a light gray. A lot of people don't realize these are not painted dials. These are not a lacquer paint. And to get this in such a fine texture, they have to be galvanized or electroplated. And to create new colors through that process is much more complex than selecting a new paint. This is something that will be special and unique to this particular model. So it is inspired by the morning mist that surrounds the Hotaka mountain range in central Japan in Nagano Prefecture in the winters. Thankfully, these will not be too long of a wait. They'll be coming out in July and will be priced at $8,400. So something special that we'll only be doing for these GS9 Club events. We had basically the first movement deconstruction of our latest 9RA2 caliber. For those of you that don't know what this caliber is, this is our newest spring drive that does not have the power reserve indicator on the front, but on the back, and has a 5-day power reserve, and also has enhanced accuracy of half a second per day, but it's not limited edition necessarily. We can do it in continuous production for the first time. So it's something very special for numerous reasons. As an example, just so you're familiar with what model this movement is cased in, the white birch spring drive 5-day is reference number SLGA009. This is the first continuous production model to feature this caliber.
Quietly. Martine, quietly. Just pour.